back in here.
Get around to that.
I'm arriving late, and I've already noticed that they should be in their seats.
Are they in the eggnog back there or what?
Must be.
You can go ahead and do the prelude while we're getting them in their seats.
Well, that race is long. I could just go
We'll get it.
Let's go ahead and play.
We're meeting. They're talking. Go ahead.
Yes.
I'll go get Charles.
Decorated, looks nice. Well, we do have a tree.
We have a tree and we have poinsettias.
And we kind of have lights. They were burned out on the swag, so I had an extra set that they don't wrap right today. So you may know.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you. Are we ready?
Sorry.
Looks like it.
The sign. Ring the bell and get people together, and you're late coming into your seats. That's a good sign. So. All right, welcome to First Universalist of New Madison on this chilly, starting to feel like Christmas Day. I noticed coming through town that New Madison had a little celebration Friday and Saturday night. expect music to let you know it's time for Christmas. Do we have any announcements?
The only announcement, if you noted in your program, I believe Richard Venus and Marcia Venus may be visiting us next Sunday, so we'll look forward to their visit. Also, thanks to those who brought the poinsettia in, and if anyone else wants to bring poinsettias in, we can put a dedication in our weekly updates for those poinsettias, and I neglected to mention that last week we were at a wonderful joint service in El Dorado, and I forgot to mention it the previous week, so my apologies, but feel free to bring in a poinsettia if you like. We will dedicate it in anyone's honor that you so designate.
And if you're in contact with Richard and Marcia, if they would want to bring one of his old sermons, one of his Christmas sermons, I'd be glad to deliver that for him, or maybe Marcia would want to deliver it.
Okay, I will.
I think that would be he always gave tremendous sermons, and if they wouldn't mind, I mean, just ask them if they would be interested in doing that.
I will do so.
I think that would be fitting to hear his words again. We miss Richard and hope he's doing well. Sad announcement from El Dorado, George Regal passed away this week. I think it was fairly sudden. Is that last Monday. So our condolences to the family and to our sister church family at El Dorado Universalist Unitarians. Any other announcements? Like I told you, New Madison had a nice celebration up here in town the Friday and Saturday. That was really looked like a good time for everybody. Any other announcements? Okay, chalice lighting. Who You Are Enriches Us All by Monica Jacobson Tennyson. What you bring, who you are, enriches us all. We say welcome to your joy, your hope, and your pride. We say welcome to your grief, your fear, and your anger. The parts of you that are not yet ready to be seen and heard, welcome to them as well. For we are a people of faith, faith in our expansive welcome, faith in our ability to grow, faith in the precious gift of our truths, faith in the promise of trying, learning, and changing, faith in our capacity to know ourselves and each other ever more deeply. Welcome to you who are gay, straight, bi, pan, lesbian, queer, questioning, unable to be contained by any word or letter. Welcome to you who are trans, cis, genderqueer, non-binary, intersex, agender, beyond words, and anybody who can explain all those to me. Welcome to you who are human. Welcome to you who are loved and love. Welcome to you who are blessed, which is all of you. May this time together be a blessing for all of you. Our opening hymn is 235, Deck the Halls. introduction to the holiday season, when people think of what is right and wrong. Anybody gather what we're going to talk about from our slide, our first slide?
I'm talking in somebody's ear.
The devil on one side, the angel on the other. How to do, or what is the right thing to do, or what is the right thing? That's what we're going to talk about. Do your little bit of good where you are. It's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world. That's from Desmond Tutu. When I do good, I feel good. When I do bad, I feel bad. It's too small to read, probably for you. Our favorite person we've been talking about? Roberta?
What?
Abraham Lincoln.
Oh.
Lincoln shows up practically every month here, so there's another Abraham Lincoln. And we will be doing some various stories and ideas and explanations of doing the right thing. How many of you remember High Noon? I think you're all old enough to have seen it.
Numerable times.
From 1952. A completely out of its element movie that everybody thought at the time castigated it and thought it was terrible, and it turned out to be an Academy Award winner. And we'll talk a little bit about what that has to do with what we're talking about. Okay, our affirmation. May your kindness abound like hydrogen, which fuels every star and is the most plentiful element in the universe. May your generosity refresh like oxygen, which burns in every candle flame, falls in every raindrop, and is exhaled in the great slow sigh of every forest. May your love endure like bismuth, which could radiate energy for 20 billion years and only be half depleted, but whose iridescent crystals are safe enough to hold. And may your strength persist like carbon, which has enabled all of our life in the solar system, has known or will ever know. From diplodocus to dandelions, from blue-green algae to blue whales. And from the katydids that cling to branches and chirp through the night, to the kale that clings to life aboard the International Space Station and hurtles through the silent, endless night of outer space. All right, our children's story is on morals.
Join Kids Hat Family. Never tell a lie. Here is my favorite red nail paint. This will go perfectly with my outfit today. Let me take a shower first and get ready. Wow, this color is so beautiful. I will paint an apple today with this. My friends will be so happy seeing my painting. I kept it right here. Where is it? How can I misplace my favorite nail paint? Tofu? Have you seen my red nail paint? I can't find it. I kept it on my bed. No. What are you talking about? I was in the living room completing my art homework. I have no idea about your nail paint. I will teach him a lesson now, since he lied to me. Where is my painting? How will I show it to my friends and teachers? Maybe God punished me for stealing Tia's nail paint. Poor Tofu, he didn't know he lied and hurt me for his joy. Can I come in? I want to give you something. Yes, please, come in. What is it? I'm sorry. I picked up your nail paint while you were in the shower. Actually, the color looked so beautiful and I wanted to paint a red apple for my homework with this. I knew it when I saw the red nail paint in the living room. I remained quiet because I wanted you to realize your mistake, and so I took your painting. I'm happy that you understand I was heartbroken as it was my favorite nail paint. If you ever want to borrow anything from anyone, you should always ask for permission first. This is what good manners are. Always say, "May I borrow your stuff, please?" If the person says yes, then only you should take it. I understood my mistake when my painting went missing. I will always ask for permission, Tia, before borrowing anything from anybody. Please forgive me. It's okay, Tofu. You're a good boy. And you understand things very quickly. Good habits, bad habits. Join.
All right, number one, accent training. What country?
Lithuania,
No,
Uzbekistan.
no,
Australia.
India.
Indian.
Yeah, definitely India. And another clue is, who calls nail polish nail paint?
Yeah.
Yes. And also, what do you think on their child rearing techniques? If your child took your nail polish and used it somewhere, would you steal his picture and make him suffer before you give it back to him? Yes, I'm not sure Dr. Spock would approve of that technique. The goal is what we're looking for, but the technique is not exactly the way we would get there. But that is one of the things about, there's doing things right and there's doing the right thing. Sometimes they're different. Doing things right is not always doing the right thing. And then we get to the little story there, the end justifies the means. She's trying to teach, which is another clue that it's India. How would you like to be named Tofu? And go up to grade school and say, introduce yourself as Tofu. Okay, joys and concerns. We're going into A Christmas Carol. We've already watched it. That's one of our traditions. We had the kids home for Thanksgiving, and I like to watch A Christmas Carol at Christmas, but they all wanted to see it for Thanksgiving, so we watched it at Thanksgiving. But there are things that the season of want is upon us. If you remember A Christmas Carol with the Cratchits and their struggle to have a Merry Christmas. The food pantries are open. They are needing stuff. Did we ever hear on whether we're going to do the bell ringing thing? So that is kind of interesting. Every year we've been asked or invited to ring the bell at the mini market for the Dark County Christian Association. Is that?
Dark County Council of Churches, I believe.
Dark County Council of Churches. This year we were not invited. We don't know whether it was an oversight or whether it was intentional.
The bucket is down at Mini Mart.
What's that?
The bucket is at the Mini
Well, the
Mart.
bucket's at the mini mart, so somebody's.
And perhaps I missed their message too, so I will
Okay.
point that out.
We'll try and find out, because we've always volunteered before, so.
Yeah.
And would be happy to do so again. All right, any other joys and concerns?
I would just like to once again express our appreciation to the El Dorado congregation for hosting us last Sunday. Wonderful opportunity for fellowship, great service, and certainly a great meal and a fellowship and conversation following that.
And we always enjoy hearing Derek, whether it's here or there. He always gives a really inspirational and touchable, something that you can relate to presentation. And they had a really good carry-in, and we did not have to bring anything, so. Oh, also for if Richard is here next week, I think we're gonna go ahead and bring some chips and maybe some bologna or ham and a couple buns, and we'll have like a light repast afterwards, along with the coffee and hot chocolate and things like that. So if you would like to come next week, there'll be more than just, we will have coffee, cake, and donuts, but there'll be more than just that. Marsha would like to stay for a little bit. All right.
Tim,
Yes.
I thank whoever helped decorate the church. It was nice.
Pretty quick this year, and we're still in the process. I have new lights for the little tree we put up, but I don't have any batteries for the extra lights that go there, so I'll bring those next week. The swag that we have from the church, the lights were burned out, so we had an extra set of lights, but they're not wrapped very well. So if anybody feels the need to improve the look, have at it. If not, we will go along in our kind of unobtrusive way. We light a candle for the Ukraine, as we usually do. Our sunflowers are sharing the table with the poinsettias, and no matter how many poinsettias we get to display this winter, this fall, the sunflowers will still be there. Things are not improving. We've sent our coats and our cash, and hopefully that will ameliorate a little bit of the problems they're having there. But the Russians are still, they've taken out almost 40 to 50% of the electrical generation power, and it's cold, it's snowing. People have, not only do they not have electricity for heat, electricity is what pumps the water. So there's a problem even getting water. So things are getting tough there. For Mr. Regal, we'll light a candle for El Dorado and that family.
Actually, he's not associated with the El Dorado Church.
Oh, he's not?
He's the father of my friend Sherry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I misunderstood that, but that doesn't diminish our sympathy for the family, so. And then we'll light one more candle for those fears, those thoughts, those hopes, those desires, those things that are hidden deep that maybe you don't even realize yourself. So, okay, our message, do the right thing. This was brought on, how many of you saw the PBS thing on World War II and America's involvement in the concentration camps? Anybody see that? One of the things they brought out and highlighted was the existence of capos. Capos is the German name for Jewish prisoners who were hired or enlisted or dedicated to work in the concentration camps. In other words, it was not all Germans who did all the work. The Germans did the killing and manned the guard towers and did the other stuff, but a lot of the people who kept the records, who did the cleaning, who cleaned up, the people who cleaned up the gas chambers when the people were gassed and murdered, the people who picked up the bodies, pulled their gold teeth, took off their rings, saved their clothes and their shoes, and put the naked bodies in the burn pits, in the burn chambers, in the crematoriums. Those were all Jews. The sense of what you do of right and wrong. How many people, when they were given the choice to work for the Nazis and kill your fellow Jews to stay alive, they went through situations where they would steal food from the prisoners to stay alive. Other prisoners would steal food from other prisoners, other concentration camp members, because basically the rations that were given out, everybody would have starved to death. So it's kind of like the strong survive and the weak don't. That's a choice those people had to make. And there is questions after the war. A lot of those capos were castigated, were harassed and chased and denigrated for working with the Nazis and working against their own people. But other people said, we understand it was a situation of life and death. What had happened would have happened anyway. They had no choice in it. Their only choice was whether to survive or whether to die. That is the question that everybody has to answer on their own. It's an individual question. Some people choose to die rather than surrender their dignity, or rather than surrender their loyalty to their religion. If you remember all the Christian martyrs, They chose to be eaten by the lions or slain by the Roman army because they refused to say, I worship the emperor. They could easily have lied and said, I worship the emperor, and then gone ahead being Christians in the background and keeping their Christianity hidden, but they chose to be martyrs. People look up to martyrs. I'm not sure where I would be on that situation. I think I'm a little more on the side of, I'll lie to the emperor and say, I worship you, and then go back and be a Christian in the background. But everybody has to make your own choice. Morals versus ethics. What's the difference? Ethics are codes of conduct, usually from an external source. Morals are in an internal sense of right and wrong. Morals tell you to yourself, do I feel guilty for doing this or do I not feel guilty? Do I do this because it's a choice that I want to make? But how do I decide what is right and wrong? That's kind of ethics are predetermined. The medical profession has the Hippocratic Oath, which says do no wrong. Lawyers take an oath to do no wrong. When you become a United States citizen, you take an oath to uphold the Constitution. How many of you saw the latest pronouncement from Mar-a-Lago that he wants the Constitution canceled so he can be reinstalled as president? That is quite a statement, and people are it's one of those things where you can't believe that things like this keep happening, but they keep happening. Right, basically what they will tell you is morals are informed by ethics. In other words, ethics are a written code that has been there over a long period and agreed upon by either religions or political entities or whatever governing body there is. Morals are how you interpret the ethics that you are given. In general, morals are considered guidelines that affect individuals, and ethics are considered guideposts for entire groups or communities. Ethics are also more culturally based than morals. I'm not sure I agree with that statement. Every culture creates their own morals, their own ethics. In early Greece, when babies were born and they were deformed or didn't look to be perfect, they just took them out into the wilderness and abandoned them to die. And everybody considered that ethically appropriate and morally okay. We all know cases of people who make moral choices. The death penalty is a good example. Some people think that if somebody kills someone, an eye for an eye, that person should be killed in return. Other people say it is not moral for anyone to take a life, no matter what the reason. So that's a choice people have to make individually. There's some interesting takes on morals and ethics. Peter Drucker is a famous business writer. Management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things. So even people in business, which is not known for its ethics or its morals, management is doing things right. And we've all worked for companies or with companies or hospitals that do things right, but not necessarily doing the right thing. This is the interesting contradiction. Harry Truman said, doing the right thing is easy. It is much more difficult to figure out what the right thing is. Harry Truman, doing the right thing is easy. If you know the history of Harry Truman, the buck stops here. He was kind of a no-nonsense guy. For him, I'm sure he knew what the right thing was, but being a politician, sometimes he had to choose to do the right thing and lose his office, or lose the following of the people, or doing what was necessary to create the following. The opposite one is a guy named Venubal Archiabo, which I cannot pronounce. The truth is that you always know the right thing to do. The hard part is doing it. I have to admit I have some sympathy with that. That's your conscience. Your conscience is telling you this is the right thing to do, but sometimes doing the right thing in the face of opposition, or just because it costs you money or time or whatever, it's like driving down the road and seeing a stray dog, and you know a stray dog that has gotten out that shouldn't be out because they look lost, they look scared, you're afraid they're going to get hit. Do you stop and pick it up and take it to the pound or check with the neighbors? Or are you late for work or late for an appointment, or you just don't have time, or whatever the excuse is, do you drive by and hope somebody else will stop and pick up that poor dog? And then what is really bad is you come by later that day and the dog's dead in the road. So that's when you feel guilt. All right, the only thing harder than knowing the right thing to do is to actually do the right thing. And that's from a Vietnamese author of The Sympathizer. With villains, you always have to understand what motivates them. Most people just don't think they're evil. Most people don't think they're evil. They believe or know they are doing the right thing because of the circumstances they find themselves in, or they are overwhelmed by the circumstances and can't stop doing what they do next. Maybe that's an explanation for some of the people who want to destroy the Constitution and destroy democracy to keep their person in power. And this is one of the jokes. How many of you know Rick Scott, senator from Florida? He was the head of Hospital Corporation of America, one of the most giant healthcare conglomerates. The hospital industry to this day works its tail off to do the right thing. This is from Rick Scott, the guy who took millions of dollars and paid millions of dollars to lobbyists to cancel insurance, to keep people from getting insurance, to make people pay extra for insurance, to take your house if you don't pay your hospital bill. To me, that is the definition of hypocrisy. All right. Oh, and here's another good one from Ye. Does everybody know who Ye is? Kanye West, his new name. I love being American. I love family. I love having a family, and I feel so blessed, and I feel like God gave me exactly what I wanted. So now I have to do the right thing in God's eyes also. Just follow what God wants me to do. I don't think God wants him to be anti-Semitic. I don't think God wants him to wear a black balaclava covering everything but his eyes and his mouth and talk about how evil Jews are and how good a person Hitler was. The question is he off his meds, or is he far beyond what